Hi, academic writing students. I wanted to go over a few tips for writing titles for this style of research essay. I'm going to start by looking at some noteworthy student titles from past terms. The word gap, the early years make the difference in improving early child development. Hashtag self-care or sabotage. The spread of misinformation. So these are all excellent titles, and I've chosen them because they're all very clear. They do a great job of previewing the central ideas. So when you think about the purpose, you want to keep a couple things in mind. You want to preview your central ideas, and you also want to write something that might pique the reader's interest. So titles are one of those places where you actually can be creative and playful. You can think about submitting your paper to a conference and wanting your essay to be chosen from among all the others. An effective title would help. I had this great professor of Irish literature at UCSB, Professor Duffy, and when we turned in our final essays, he had a lecture hall of 200 students, and he said, "Let me tell you a secret. This is how I grade your essays. I read your titles and I put your essays in three piles. Essays I'm really excited to read that look like they have a lot of promise, essays that might be interesting, and essays that look super boring that just have the title Final Literature Analysis." And then I read them in that order. And sometimes, he said, there's an A paper in that last pile, but I won't give it an A because I'm so tired of reading papers. And I thought that was, really funny. And he was a great professor. He had this really interesting personality and great accent, so it didn't seem so harsh when he said it. But the point is that titles are a first impression for your paper. And if you take a little bit of time and you write a great title, it is going to make that good first impression, and you might get a higher score than you might otherwise. And if you write a really boring title like research paper, then maybe you're not making a great first impression, and that might sway your teacher's perspective. So I teach here at Antioch. We have super small class sizes. I read the essay in the order I receive them, and I'm not going to be super harsh about your titles, but I do think it's a good thing to consider that it really is that first impression. So you can start this type of essay with a question. This is a very typical way to title BA undergraduate essays. So a lot of academic titles state the question, and it's implied that the paper will present the answer. For example, can modern war be justified? Do drug courts really work? Another thing you might do is summarize your thesis or purpose within the title, and this is very common for academic essays. So here's an example: the relationship between client and therapist expectation of improvement and psychotherapy outcome. So not totally creative or interesting, but very clear. I know exactly what the essay is going to be about. And then my favorite and one of the most common structures for the BA undergraduate essay is to have a two-part title with a colon. And often people will have keywords on one side and then the colon and something creative or clear or memorable. And this is often used for New York Times best-selling nonfiction books too. So let's go over a few examples. Money and growth, these are kind of keywords. An alternative approach. So keywords and then thesis. Another pattern is what I talked about a second ago, which is the interest-rousing mystery phrase and then something really clear on the other side. So the Great Whiteout, an examination of the exclusion of Blacks from big business. So we've got this, interesting phrase and then something super clear. Blood, Bones, and Butter, the inadvertent education of a reluctant chef. That's from a New York Times novel. And what you can think about is writing some titles for your final paper. Maybe having a question or summarizing your thesis or writing a two-part title with a colon. I would like you to write a different title than the one you used from your analysis essay. Even if your analysis essay had a great creative title, I want you to play around and write another title for your research essay. And then, a final strategy is to choose a phrase or keyword from your essay and use that as your title. So maybe you had a really memorable phrase, and works really well if you have a central metaphor that you start with and end with, or some really creative way of explaining something. So thanks for watching this short video, and feel free to email me titles if you want me to give my opinion on them. All right, thank you.